This is the Big Friendly Swim podcast because I'm big and I'm friendly. So glad to have you. Before we get started, you just introduce yourself and sort of explain to people who you are and who you are within the sport of swimming, and beyond that too, if you want.
Okay, that sounds good. Right now? Or
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I apologize. Okay.
Oh no, you're fine.
I didn't realize we started yet. My name is Kennedy Noble. I'm a swimmer at NC State. I swim mainly backstroke and maybe something outside of swimming. I really love to bake.
What do you like to bake?
Everything. I would say my go-to is probably chocolate chip cookies. I know it's kind of basic, but they're so good.
My little brother's been baking like a crazy person. Just every night he's doing something. He had Oreo cheesecake the other day, and I'm like,
oh yeah, cheesecake is good.
so much sugar, and I'm so worth it.
So is.
So, sort of jumping to NC State, what was the initial choice that led you there? And then, were there any other schools that you had on your radar that were reaching out to you?
Yeah, I would say at first NC State definitely wasn't on the top of my list when I began recruiting. And then I had my first call with Braden and I was like, wait, I really like his energy. It was just he had really good energy and he was somebody that I was like, oh, I can see him as my coach. And I just kept talking to him and as well as the assistant coaches. I really ended up liking the coaches. And I would talk to a lot of the team too. We had Zoom calls because it was all during COVID. So we did a bunch of team Zoom calls, and the culture that NC State has is unreal. It was by far it stood out to me insane. I was on a Zoom call and one of the guys on the team did one of the girls' laundry. He's like, "Here, I have your laundry done," and I'm like, it's just so funny. They're all just so close, and I also love how quirky they are. Most of them have the same exact humor I do, and I felt like I would fit in really well with really funny people. Not saying that I don't. Maybe I'm funny, but they're really funny, and I knew that I would be really happy to be around them. I wanted to be like them, so that's why I wanted to be there.
I definitely got the impression that the team culture there is amazing because I've talked to Nils, David, and Braden,
Oh,
and
nice.
all three of them were just such nice people. Braden especially. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, if you were my coach, I'd be having a great time.
Yeah. Yeah. He's awesome.
So you bring up COVID, and I'm curious because COVID hit when you were in high school. Because if my math is right, you were class of 2021,
22.
22. Oh, okay, so it hit when you were in high school. So how do you think that affected your development, both as an athlete and as a person? And how do you think that either changed or shaped your future within the sport?
Yeah. It was definitely really hard. At first it was kind of fun. I'm out of school, I can kind of do whatever I want. Practice was canceled, so I was like, oh, it's kind of nice. I get a little break. Um, and then it really quickly started to become something that I really hated, and I just wanted structure. I'm somebody who really likes structure. I need a schedule. I need someone to tell me what to do because I will sit on my butt all day if I don't. And so it took a lot of self-motivation. I knew that there were other swimmers in the country who were still getting better. I saw them wearing the cords on them in their backyard pool and all this stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to get on that. I still had big dreams and goals that I need to accomplish, and I think I didn't know how long the break was gonna be, so I was just like, all right, gotta get started now. We ended up my club team and we all went to the lake a few times a week. And it was disgusting in there. We went there and oh, it was so gross. And it was an experience. It was fun though. It was different. I did swim in my backyard pool sometimes. I ran, which is my least favorite thing to do in the whole world. But what I learned a lot from it was really learning how to self-motivate. And without having a coach there, not yelling at me, but encouraging me, and helping me through practice, and as well as teammates, not having teammates all the time around me. was just really difficult. So yeah, I learned as a like person, just self-motivation goes a really, really long way. And I was able to bring that once COVID kind of died off a little bit.
I remember doing a lot of running too. I've got a picture of me in my backyard with like those same like resistance cables you're talking about, and my
Yeah.
goggles on and my face in this huge bucket of water because I
Oh
was
my
that desperate.
Oh my gosh, wow. Yeah, that is
It was a if I find it, I'll send it to you. It's a pretty funny picture.
yeah.
My whole family was like making fun of me, and I'm like, I'm having the time of my life.
As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Eventually, I was able to get into my one of our family friends at a backyard pool, and they're like, just come whenever you want. And I was there every single day.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was definitely a hard time, but yeah. We had to all think very creatively.
Oh yeah, gotta make do somehow.
Oh yeah.
So, sort of jumping off of that to the U.S. like the junior national team. You obviously have spent a lot of time on the junior national team, and you've represented the U.S. internationally. Most recently at the Junior Pan Packs last summer. I'm curious to know how you think those experiences have like set you up to succeed, and now that you've likely made your first senior national team, and they haven't announced the roster yet, but potentially the Pan American Games team, how
Yeah.
you think those experiences have helped you now, like not like before, how they like set you up, and then how those how that setup has helped you now.
Yeah, I think that the US does an incredible job at implementing the national junior team and especially the camps that they have. I had the zone select camp, I went to national select camp and eventually made it on the national junior team. And I feel like the camps were something that I learned so much from. And a lot of it, like I made so many friends and like Lydia Jacoby was on my zone select camp like group. I can't remember what year it was, but like we were friends there and we've been friends ever since. It's just so cool. And same goes for like so many other people. But I think being in that culture, I've learned so much about like how hard everyone else is working and what they think swimming is to them and like learning from other people. And even coaches as well. Like I got to learn from so many coaches because there's practically a whole new staff every single time when it comes to camps or team trips. And I also learned like how cool it is to be on Team USA. Like it is insane. Like it is so cool and just the energy that we all have and it's because of like the camps. Like we all build those friendships even beforehand like making the national team and stuff like that. Like you already know a lot of the people. So it's like it's really comforting and you already feel like a like coherent team. And it's so cool like when we walk on deck I can like say this for literally every person who's represented the US. Like when you walk on deck, everyone like looks over at us and just stops. Like it goes silent because the US is there, so it's something that's so cool to be a part of and I cannot believe I have even had the experiences I've had so far. So yeah, I've learned so much.
How do you feel knowing that like potentially this summer you might be headed to the Pan American Games? I'm not sure if they've announced the roster yet, but
Not yet.
I think fourth place in the two back puts you in a pretty good position.
Yeah, hopefully. Um, I think it's insane. My club coach, Darian Townsend, he was on the Pan American team in 2015 and he's like talked about his experiences.
He
And
was
it's
an
just
Olympian in his own right too, huh?
yes, yes. Yes, he's pretty cool. But no, it's like it's yeah, it's actually surreal. I definitely wasn't expecting to make like my potentially my first like senior international team. I would say that was kind of a goal. But I definitely didn't know what to expect into the meet. So
So, sort of talking about that potentially making a senior international team. So, how did your like performances at U.S. Nationals, which were awesome by the way, like
you.
amazing swims, like you were dropping time in like every event. How how did that shape your thought process now and your plan now for Olympic trials next summer? And like, what goals did you like? This is a long-winded question. What goals do you like have for the week? And then how did those goals shape up with the results that came out?
Yeah. So going into the meet, I had like a rough, I practices were going fairly well. Like we did a lot of two back stroke practices. I was buddied up with Ryan White quite a bit. And there were some practices I was keeping up with her, and I was like, okay, this like maybe something good will come out of this meet. And she's been an incredible teammate so far, and she's only been here for like what, a month and a half maybe. Um, she's really fun to train with, and same with KB. She definitely focuses more on the 100. But I I had some good practices, so I was like, okay, maybe this meet will go pretty well. And then my rough estimate was like a 208 two back. I was like, I'd be really, really happy with the 208. And then uh going into the meet, I felt good. I definitely tapered less. We made this plan that I was gonna taper less because we've learned quite a bit in the past year that I react better with less taper, and I think we've learned now that is the case. Um, so which is kind of unfortunate. I would really love to taper for like a full 2 weeks, but that is just not the case. But then I had my first race was the two back, so going into the race, I just had no idea. I was just like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I saw I was up with my other competitors, and I was like, okay, this might be a good race. And seeing the time, I was absolutely shocked. I was so excited about it. I went straight down to the warm down pool. I didn't want to look at the seed, like the rankings for finals, because I knew it would be okay. So I was like, okay, I'm just like not gonna focus on it. And my teammate was like, dude, you're in second place. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, you're lying. She's like, oh, you are. And I was like, oh God. I was like, no, I can't think about that. I was so nervous in between prelims and finals. And my expectation, like, not at all, was to make the world's team. Like, that was just like an absurd goal to me. Um, like I just never even talked about that. So people were like, "Oh, like if you stay in the same spot you're in now, you can make the world's team." And I was like, "Don't tell me that." Like I didn't need that kind of pressure at like this point. But it is definitely like gonna help me for the future for sure. And I think it was like this was a really good meet and learning experience for next year. Like this is so important to have because I know that next year will be a lot higher pressure. Not to say that this wasn't, but next year is definitely a higher caliber, I feel like. And before this meet, I definitely was I've always wanted to be an Olympian one day. I definitely have never said it out loud a lot, like with people, just because I don't know. I was just like, huh, it's like that's a really out there goal. Um, but I who knows what can happen. I know that like I've really learned to enjoy swimming a lot more since I've came here. Um, the team makes it so much more fun. Like that was one of the like not the first meet, but definitely long course meet in the summer that I've like genuinely had fun. Like we were the loudest team there. It was the best. Like we just killed it. It was so good. It was awesome. So yeah, but I am excited for next summer. I try not to think about it too much because obviously there's a lot more work to be done. But yeah, I'm kind of just focusing on finishing out the summer and have my break.
At least you know now that the Indiana pool has some good swims for you.
Yes, yeah. It has some magic there.
I noticed throughout the whole week, anytime I saw somebody like with a wolf pack on like their team name, they were always swimming really well. So it seems like happy swimmers are fast swimmers.
Yes, yeah. I would say we were all very, very happy there. It was a lot of fun. We all had a blast.
So sort of jumping away from lawn course and going back to NCAA's earlier this year, there was this interesting article that I was reading about from SwimSwam talking about like the statistics for mixed gender programs because NC State practices men and women together, right?
Hmm.
So across the board, it seemed like most mixed gender programs had a pretty big discrepancy between how one team did versus the other. Like ASU men got second, and then ASU women were like 10th. They still had a great meet,
Yeah.
but there's Ohio State had a big discrepancy. I think Florida had a big discrepancy as well. NC State, both men and women got fourth.
Hmm.
So I'm curious if you could talk about like what a typical practice looks like and how you think practicing under one program has helped your development in college and helps the team as a whole.
Yeah. Definitely going back to the one of the first questions. That was one thing that really stood out to me was a combined program. That was something that I really wanted to have. I think I don't know. I wasn't necessarily very drawn to a split program. I think it's a completely different culture. Um, and like practices are so fun. Like I have a blast. Like especially like having guys around, they're so fun. Like it makes it less serious. And even the girls, like the girls make it fun too. Like I think we're all so encouraging of one another and we're very vocal in practice. Like we're definitely loud. Like we're a very loud team. So um yeah, like we definitely have our things like before kick sets. Oh my gosh, that's it's it's very loud. Um, but especially like in the fall. But practice is it's genuinely so fun. I love it. And sometimes like there's gonna be that lucky day that like one of the girls is beating a guy and it feels really, really good. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. And it's just fun to like not mess around, but make it more lighthearted. It's not something that has to be like dreaded upon like practice because it does get really hard, but it's definitely easier to get through with having both genders for sure.
You know, as a person who comes from a mixed program too, I think it's a lot more fun. I think it makes it more of like a family atmosphere of everybody
Yeah.
working together and competing. Like everyone's got each other's back.
Mhm.
So yeah, I definitely think it would be a completely different like culture and environment if it was just like a single gender program like practicing
Right.
separately.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's all the questions I've got for you. But before we wrap things up, at the end of every interview, I give the person I'm talking to, I give them time to promote something of their choice. That like some people just plug their Instagram, which will be in the description. Um, some people plug sponsors. Caitlin Sandino was just like telling everybody to be nice. So this it's just your time to
Oh,
say whatever you want.
oh, well, that's nice. Um, I don't know. I get my Instagram is ken.noble. I don't really do that. But uh, I don't know. I don't really know.
That's
Make sure
okay.
you have fun in swimming. Swimming is fun.
Awesome. I agree. Swimming is fun.
Yeah, it can be. Yes.
All right. Well, that's everything I've got for you. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for having me.